Hi class, so this week we're going to talk about semicolons. I think a lot of people are confused with what they are and what they are used for. I think the number one thing you need to remember is that semicolons are used in the same way as periods are. So in other words, they are a terminal punctuation used to join two complete sentences together. So as long as you remember that, I think that will help with preventing you from making some of the errors that I've been seeing. Alright, so hopefully you had a chance to read through this. So let's take a look. Let's go ahead and read this part. Semicolons are mainly used to join sentences with closely linked ideas. The semicolon in the sentence you're now reading acts in some way like a period. However, as you can see here, it also works like a kind of superglue, bonding two clauses together. So that's important, right? As a reader, when I see a semicolon, that signals to me that the writer, right, is going to add some more information to the sentence that they just used. So it's kind of like a visual cue. All right? So just to review, you had these three complete sentences, and of course with the sentence combining, we are supposed to put those together and practice on what we are working on that week. So since we are working on semicolons, let's take a look at how you could join these three together, and hopefully you'll see why the semicolon is probably the most important. Not the most important, but the most appropriate. Okay, so you have the three sentences about chromosomes. Now let's take a look. Well, first let's back up. So you can join them, the conventional way with the period. So you have sentence, period, another sentence. You could also join two sentences together with the comma and the fanboy conjunction. Or, as we are going to practice this week, you can join them together with a semicolon and sometimes a semicolon and a transition. All right, so let's take a look at this example. Human body cells have 46 chromosomes, semicolon. Genes that govern hereditary traits are located on these chromosomes. Okay, the reason why that I underline the word chromosome is because I wanted you to be aware that these sentences are closely related, right? And if you look, you can see how they're related. So this first sentence is basically kind of gives us some information. It tells us that human body cells have 46 chromosomes, all right? Semicolon. And then the sentence after kind of explains what they are. So both of these sentences are linked together, right? They are talking about the same subject, so it would be a good idea to use a semicolon. Now, is it wrong to use a period? No. But, a reader is used to seeing periods. So when you see a semicolon, it kind of makes a stop, right? And it's going to draw our attention to what the writer wants to say. Okay, take a look at this example here. My dog is not very active, semicolon, he sleeps most of the day. Right? Both clauses refer to the dog as the subject. Right? He is the pronoun that is talking about the dog. And it's okay to begin the sentence with the pronoun. I know sometimes we're taught, don't begin a sentence with he or she or it. But since you have this semicolon here, you're letting your reader know that you're not quite done talking about this dog. So it's okay to use he. Okay, let's review this. So the semicolon is clearly an in-between kind of punctuation mark. It's stronger than a comma, right? Because the comma can't stand alone, but not as abrupt as a period. So we're used to seeing periods and we think, okay, that thought's over, writer's going to move on to something else. It's stronger than a comma because it can link clauses together, right? And you know that a comma cannot link two clauses together, right? Two clauses that can stand alone like a sentence because you'll have a comma splice. So as you can see, there's like a hierarchy going on, right, with the different levels of punctuation. Okay. So let's do a couple of examples. Let's look at group one. So remember, the focus here will be to combine two sentences using a semicolon. All right, so we have number 1 or group 1. Celebrities must lead 2 lives. One life is public, comma, the other private. And I'm going to stop here and point this out. This will be something that we work on a little bit later, but this right here is called an absolute phrase, right? And right, it's more like a stylistic thing. So what that means is the verb that was in this sentence is, right, once you have it over here, right, one life is public, comma, the other is private. So if you want to, you can get rid of the verb in the second clause here, right, as long as it's the same as this. So you can do that. So you would just get rid of that verb because the verb is implied, right? One life is public, the other private. So it kind of gives a little more pizzazz, right? It sounds more sophisticated. But anyway, so let's just take this. We have our revision here. All right, we'll use a semicolon. I'm just going to copy and paste. And we have it, right? So it's appropriate to use a semicolon here, right? Because if you read it, celebrities must lead 2 lives. One life is public, so we're talking about life. The other what? Life, right? So this clause here kind of helps to develop the first one, and that's why we would use the semicolon.